Rashid delay. This is a very famous Tibetan expression. Whenever you meet somebody, we exchange the greetings by saying Tashi delay, which actually entails the complete Buddhist philosophy. Tashi means may you have the auspiciousness, and Delik means may you have temporary well-being and long-term happiness. So let us start the talk from Tashi delay. Tashi delay. So in order to experience this auspiciousness or Tashi for this life, for many lives to come, for your health, for your well-being, for your business, this is all dependent upon your way of life, your way of thinking. I don't plan to talk too long, and I actually don't possess too many of the great qualities he mentioned. It is just part of the biography, right? So sometimes if people praise you too much, then later on, if you don't match, then you are in trouble, you see. So I must acknowledge this right in the beginning. Okay, so the really important thing is, I don't have too many different things to say. A few things. One is, this is those of you who watched my talks in many places. By now you should be, by heart, you must be knowing all this. So every time I start my talk, I ask the question, do you want happiness? So I'm asking you, do you want happiness?
Yes.
Are you sure? Yes. Okay, the next question is, if you want happiness, for how many days you want happiness? This is my next question. For how many days you want happiness? I mean, it's so interesting. This is my style of teaching, you know. This is so interesting. I've asked this question to various groups in India. I've asked this question in Israel. I've asked this question in Singapore, you know, in Switzerland, in Belgium, in UK, in America, in Russia, you know. I asked this question, do you want happiness? Yes, sir, I want happiness. For how many days you want happiness? Then normally they just smile. And when I insist, please be clear, for how many days you want happiness? Everybody says, as long as possible. Those people who believe in future life, this we want happiness not only in this life, but in the future lives also. That is correct answer. That is correct answer. That is correct answer. But the important thing is, so far we are only talking about want. I want happiness. I want happiness as long as possible. Just by saying I want happiness, happiness will not come down, right? So the next most important question is, what do you think, if you want long-lasting happiness, what do you think is the main source of their long-lasting happiness? Mark my words carefully. There are small things here and there which will contribute. I am talking about what do you think is the main source of their long-lasting happiness? What do you think?
Compassion.
Huh? Compassion. Then? Huh? Forgiveness. So many 100,000 good things you can say, right? But I'm going to that in a slightly different way. And many people, they answer by saying the main source of long-lasting happiness is, they say like this, it is to come from within, which is again correct. But still it is not very clear. What do you mean by the main source of long-lasting happiness is within? What do you mean? Do you mean that if you have good thought and be compassionate and be nice, then the pounds will come flying in your pocket, or and food will come flying? You don't have to do any work, just be compassionate. We are not so stupid saying like that. We are not saying that, right? So we are saying that you need money, you need good friend, that's all. Fine. But the important thing is, main source of happiness has to be from within, means your mental attitude, your mental outlook. What kind of mental outlook? Now things are getting a little bit more complicated, okay? So when you say the main source of happiness is from within, which also means your mental outlook, your attitude, what do you mean? What kind of attitude we should have? What kind of mental outlook we should have? That's the question, important question. For me, I may be wrong. For me, I would say the main source of your happiness from within, that is mental attitude and outlook, which means your outlook and mental attitude be such that it should be in harmony with the law of nature. Does it ring a bell? It's a little bit complicated. I'll explain it. Your thinking has to be in harmony with the way things are. In our regular daily life, are you sure that your way of thinking is in harmony with the way things are? No, my dear friend, no. Normally, unfortunately, we see what we want to see, not what we should be seeing. We keep on hearing and listening to things which we want to listen, not what we should be listening. That's the problem. That's the problem. So do not just keep on seeing what you want to see, listening what you want to listen, but try to understand the way things are. Try to understand the law of nature without exaggerating it, without denigrating it. Is that a little bit clear? Not so clear. It's a little bit profound. Little bit profound. Now the next question is, okay, what is the advantage of living in harmony with the nature? What do you mean by that? When I say living in harmony with the law of nature means, number one, understanding the law of nature. Law of nature is not made by Buddha. Law of nature, at least for me, is not made by God. It's the way things are. Right? It's the way things are. So law of nature, in our context, the most important aspect of the law of nature that we should understand is that we are all interconnected, interrelated. You may be in the East, you may be in the South, you may be in America, in China, especially in today's world, when we are hurled into the face of each other through the speed of science and technology. We cannot afford to talk about East, West, North, South, black, white, yellow, green, whatever. Right? We are so heavily dependent. That's law of nature. Undeniable law of nature. Undeniable law of nature. Another aspect of, there are so many beautiful aspects of law of nature. If you understand them, you will learn many great lessons. One law of nature is, for example, when you are born, what is the first thing that you do after the birth? Huh? What? Crying, she said. Crying, right? Whether it's American child, Tibetan child, Indian child, the first thing the child does is crying, right? Not laughing. If the first thing that the child does is laughing, then people might say, oh, must be devil, or maybe reincarnation of Buddha. Very unique, right? So the first thing we do is crying. Now what do you think the child is asking by crying? Because the crying is the only language that the child has. The child does not have a complicated, sophisticated language. What do you think the child is asking? Correct, again. This is important. This is so important for me to understand. So important to understand. The child, by crying, I am 100% sure by crying, the child is not asking for a lengthy discourse on Buddhism, or thereby on Christianity or Judaism or things like that. 100% sure. The child is asking for love. And the child is asking at that time, the love that the child is asking at that time is also not the business love that we normally have in our boy, girl, man, women relationship. Unfortunately, many times it is a business love. It's business love because you say, I love you so long as you love me. If you don't love me, divorce. Something like that, right? So that is not what the child is asking. Child is asking, I have nothing to give. I don't have teeth in my mouth. I don't have hair on my head, worse than my case. I don't have hair on my head. I have nothing to give. I don't speak a proper language. I'm not able to stand up. I'm not able to lift my head. So many problems. So I need somebody who gives me unconditional love. Unconditional love. That unconditional love is given by primarily the mother and whoever is the caretaker. That is how our life started. That's how our life started. This is important. Please remember this. This is how we started our life, and for the rest of your life, you need to cultivate this, nurture this, give this unconditional love. The unfortunate thing, the problematic thing is that when we grow up, get the so-called education, then we don't talk about this unconditional love. It's probably His Holiness the Dalai Lama alone, or maybe few people, right, who talk about compassion. Not many people talk about compassion, right? So when we grow up and get the so-called education, we talk about the secondary issues. Which country you belong to, which religion you follow. All these secondary issues, not the first issue. The first issue in the first level, we are all exactly same. Exactly same. That's how we are born. And when we die also, exactly same. The size of the coffin for the richest person and the poorest person, its size is same. The quality maybe, the rich people may have gold coffin, ordinary people have a wooden or something, but the size is same. We don't think about this. To live in harmony, to respect each other, to lead a life where you don't unnecessarily judge other people. In order to do all this, you need to understand this all pervading basic realities. These days, in a challenging note, and I believe I'm doing this in the spirit of how the Buddha started his first teaching. When the Buddha got enlightened, people around him, human beings, celestial beings, with folded hands, requested him and said, we know that you found a nectar-like wisdom. Please share this. Buddha said, no. Buddha said, I found something that is profound, peaceful, free from fabrication, clear light, unconditioned. To whomever I teach it, nobody will understand it. Leave me alone. Let me do my meditation. So there you can see Buddha was different from some of the modern teachers. The modern teachers, many modern teachers, unfortunately, they have made religious practices another business, earning money. Buddha said, no. And Buddha refused the first or second request, because he was saying, if you really want to understand my teaching, you need to be serious like me. I undertook a lot of hardship in many lives, and in this life also, if you remember the 6 years hardship that I did, you need to undergo something like that to understand it. It's not easy. For us, it is easy to lead the ordinary way of life, blah, going up, down, high, eat pastry, chocolate, and tea, and things like that. That's easy. But Buddha said, what I've discovered is something that will uproot your problem, your suffering. That's not easy. That's not many people do. So it's not easy. Then on repeated request, finally when he gave the teaching that he gave was the famous Four Noble Truths. Some writers these days say 4 facts, whatever be the case, 4 Noble Truths. And when he taught the 4 Noble Truths, the first truth was truth of suffering. And the truth of suffering was explained with 4 features. The first feature was impermanence, including death, fragility. This was so important for him, and he clearly said, if you don't understand the fragility of your life, the fleeting nature of your life, the impermanence of your life, you will not make a move. You will only plan to stay in this world. More buildings, more cars, more pollutions, more swimming pools, whatever. You will never make a plan for the long-lasting happiness. You will never make a move. That was his first teaching. And when he was passing away, the last teaching he gave us also on impermanence. He said, okay, the enlightened being is passing away. So he took off his upper cloth and he said, this is the enlightened being's body. Look at it. This is also impermanent. This is also passing away. He was giving a teaching. Now, why this teaching is important? So in harmony with that teaching of the Buddha, these days I am telling people, because people are now so obsessed with the material things and things of this life. I don't mind people enjoying them. I'm not jealous. I also want to enjoy. But the important thing is that if you get completely obsessed with this life, these material things, not only you will have no, peaceful future, but in this life also, you can easily see now the pollution that we have created, right? Things like that, right? So therefore, it is highly, highly important to understand this fragility, that impermanence. Therefore, almost like in a challenging note, these days I tell people, they look on this globe, right now we have over 8 billion human population. Over 8 billion. Right? All this over 8 billion human population are dead after 100 years counting from today. Are you with me? I'm not saying they will be eliminated by the over 20,000 nuclear warheads that we have. They're all there, unfortunately, to speed up, right? Even otherwise, our lifespan is around 100 years. So that means after 100 years, we are all gone. Why we need to know this? We need to know this because if that is the case, why the hell you don't live happily and harmoniously? Why the hell you are bullying each other, exploiting each other, mistreating each other? Therefore, the Buddhist wisdom, the Buddhist teaching says, Shantideva, for example, he clearly says, you don't have to kill people, they will die. In the same vein, similarly we can say, you don't have to create suffering, they already have suffering. Everybody, if you ask them, at a sudden glance, everybody looks good. You all look very good. Right? Even you all look quite healthy also. But that is not true. If we talk a little bit longer, and I had this first-hand experience. Once I was invited to be the translator of a famous Tibetan doctor, and with him I visited the 4 Scandinavian countries many years back. So, so I was kind of his compounder also. I helped him dispense the medicine, things like that. So when the patients come, when they come in, they all look nice. The ladies with the handbag and the nice shoes, then they all look very nice, right? And once the doctor diagnoses the pulse and the urine and asks questions, believe me, everybody has at least 2-3 problems. That's the reality. So where is the room for you to mistreat others? They already have problems. So your job is to understand this and as much as possible help them. That is why His Holiness Dalai Lama always says, if you are able to help others, please help as much as possible. If you are unable to help, at least refrain from harming. That much you can do. That much you can do. And you should take yourself as an example. Do you really enjoy when somebody harms you? No. Similarly, if you harm others, they also have problems, difficulties. So that's why compassion. That's why compassion is important. Because our life is ruled by our thinking, our thought, our attitude, which I have explained. So if you have proper way of thinking, proper mental outlook, positive mental outlook, then you will develop positive emotions. You will develop loving kindness, compassion, patience, forgiveness, so many amazing things. Right? And all these good qualities, if you make a little bit effort, they're all free. You don't have to go to supermarket to buy compassion and love. Human life is a bundle of paradoxes. Everything good that is free, we don't cherish. For example, water is free, air is free. We are not able to enjoy it. Instead, we pollute all those things. Then we go to a drugstore and buy all the useless things. Right? Right? So therefore, the Buddha said, I have shown you the path to freedom. Freedom is up to you. And there is a Tibetan teacher who said, nobody can catch your hand and throw you into heaven. Even the Buddha cannot do this. Similarly, nobody, your worst enemy, can catch your leg and drag you into hell. Your happiness, your suffering is in your head. In your hand. Do not cheat yourself. Whenever there is a problem, there is difficulty, we are very quick in putting the blame on others. Oh, it's because of him. Oh, it's because of the weather. The horrid English weather. Because of this, I'm having this problem. If the weather is a little bit better, I will be okay. So then people start complaining. This is a wrong attitude. Wrong attitude. For example, if it is raining and very cold, then you develop this negative mental attitude. Oh, horrid English weather. Damn this weather. Curse the weather. And by doing that, will the weather say, Madam, I am sorry. I'll become a little bit milder. Will the weather say like that? No. So instead of cursing things outside, you should prepare yourself. Wear warm clothes. If not necessary, don't go out if it is too cold. And those things that we can do, we don't do. So therefore, in life, you need to clearly understand there are things that you can change, there are things you cannot change. There are things that you can change, you should make effort and change it. Things that you cannot change it, forget it. And my own style is, if it is a thing that I cannot change, I say, go hell with you, I have many other things to do. Really important. And the problem with us is sometimes, even those things which we cannot change, we just keep on, get obsessed with it, keep on talking about it. 3 years back, I had this problem. and for the rest of your life keep on narrating this problem. What is the use? What is the use? If you think carefully, whatever you are experiencing in life is a dream. It's really like a dream. If tonight in the dream, if you got a beautiful dream of winning 1 billion pounds, when you are dreaming, you're very happy, right? Oh, 1 billion pound, wow. You're enjoying because you're dreaming, you're sleeping. When you wake up, you realize it is a dream, right? Do you feel sad? You won't feel sad because you know it is a dream. So what is happening in your life is a dream, but we don't know it is dreaming. We get obsessed with it, get stuck with it. That's why you think there is an enemy that must be killed and banished. There is a friend that with whom you should try to live forever, which doesn't happen, then you get problem. So the Buddhist philosophy is very profound, very profound. So to sum up, I don't want to linger long, To sum up, you need two things in terms of your education, in terms of your perspective, in terms of thinking. I call it harmony of head and heart. Find harmony of head and heart. That means you must have strong loving kindness, compassion for others, and that loving kindness and compassion of others must be dependent upon head, which means knowledge, which means wisdom. And I already mentioned, if you understand others' problems, difficulties, the shortness of life, and so many things, naturally you will develop love, naturally you will develop compassion. That is true compassion, based on reason, based on logic, based on knowledge. The feeling of pityness, without any reason, is not proper compassion. When I say combination of head and heart, I'm talking about very special feature of human being. We are human beings, right? Are we animals? Are we animals or human beings? Long ago we were animals also. Not only animals, but we were very, very vulnerable animals. Among all the animals, we were one of the most fragile animals because we didn't have long nails, we didn't have sharp teeth, We were very vulnerable. At that time, the sky was controlled by birds like eagles and so forth. Human beings were not visible. The earth was controlled by tigers and lions, we were not visible. Sea was controlled by crocodiles and other animals, we were nowhere there. Today, we have controlled the sea, the earth, the space. How did we do this? Do you know the story? We did this by the brain and the language. With the brain, we came to know how to make fire. With the language, we came to know how to say certain things and come together. So it is through harmony and coming together that we were able to control all other animals. It's a beautiful story. Now today, the same human intelligence, the same human language are becoming a divisive force. That's the problem in today's world. All our intelligence are corrupted. Only few people who use their intelligence properly, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama and other great beings, just one person is contributing so much in the well-being and happiness of the world. And unfortunately, in the case of many so-called leaders, completely corrupted. Intelligence is corrupted, and because of this little intelligence, you invent nuclear bomb, you invent ballistic missile. And these days, so many countries are working so hard to come up with all kind of, machines to kill and eliminate people. Smart bombs, smart bullet. You heard about all this, right? Smart bullet means you shoot one, then the person runs away, the bullet will chase and make sure that the person is killed. All those things are coming up. Unthinkable. Unthinkable. So therefore, our responsibility is, we are not those people in power, but still don't feel you are helpless. It is our responsibility to say no to nuclear war. It is our responsibility to say no to all those killing machines. Our responsibility is to make the slogan, my life is short, let me live. My life is short, let me live. My life is short, let me live happily, harmoniously. I don't care whether somebody is Indian or Chinese or Tibetan, whatever. We are all same human beings. We are just visitors on this planet for a short time. And as a visitor, we should not pollute this planet. And I will make one final comment and give you one example, then I stop. The disastrous effect of not paying to the law of nature is what we had experienced during the COVID-19. When the COVID-19 came, did it make discrimination? Did it say I will harm only certain people in certain nation, not everybody? When that disaster came, the so-called powerful countries were brought to their knees. At that time, where was the America's greatness? Where was the Chinese greatness? Where was the Russian greatness? Everybody was completely humbled, no way to solve it. We should have learned a lesson from there. Right? So at that time, I mentioned that COVID-19 was an unfortunate experience, but still, comparing to what I envisioned to come, this is nothing. Because of our own behavior, especially in terms of destroying the ecology, the environment, and gradually if it happens, there is no proper water to drink, no clean air to breathe, which I am afraid is going to come. What will you do then? Is there a vaccine? Even the smartest scientist cannot come with a vaccine to solve this water shortage or air pollution. We have to be very careful. Something like a start has already made. For example, everywhere you go, you see this bottled water. Before the Chinese came to Tibet, in Tibet, water means drinkable from wherever. I remember as a small child of 6, 7 years old, we used to play by the side of a running brook, covered with a lot of, blue flowers and yellow flowers. And I particularly remember one blue flower. We used to go near that flower and then tease the flower by saying, your mouth is so big, shameless. Your mouth is so big, shameless. And then we tend to think it is becoming smaller. When it closes, then we say, oh, your mouth is so small, shameful. Your mouth is too small, shameful. Then it opens up, things like that. The point that I'm making is, water anywhere is drinkable. Now today, in the so-called most developed country, I once checked in a 5-star hotel and asked that person, can I drink from the tap? He said, maybe. He was not so sure. That is the situation. And we still call ourselves intelligent human beings. Where is your intelligence? You are not able to even maintain the basic needs properly. You are hanging on to this ephemeral, seemingly good things, shiny objects, whose essence is completely empty. Now there's ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, all these are coming. I don't know how we are going to deal with this, because human beings have gradually, shrugged their shoulder, their responsibility to live as a human being. So in order to live as a human being, we must have the human values, human ethics. Ethics is one of the most pivotal, important point of a human being. If it is there, we cannot allow people to misuse the data, misuse artificial intelligence, misuse ChatGPT. Otherwise, some of these so-called people, they will misuse all these machines, and you will become a victim to that. So therefore, ethics based on universal compassion is extremely, extremely important. So in order to develop this universal compassion, you need to the same kind of faith of all of us. All of us. For example, if you are traveling in a small boat in a turbulent sea, let us say that small boat has like 15 people from all different nations. You're all traveling together in the turbulent sea, and there is this risk of the boat being capsized. At that time, what will you do? Will you ask about which nation you belong to? Are you man or women? At that time, the one thing that will come in our mind is pray that the boat does not capsize, that we are able to enjoy our life. You see? I have seen this. You've seen this. I've seen this repeatedly. I fly frequently. So when I fly and when we do the check-in, everybody looks a great gentleman, great gentlewoman. People really hardly wishes to talk to other people. At the best, they'll say, okay, then we check in, then board the plane. When the flight is smooth, still gentlemen, gentlewomen. Suddenly the pilot makes an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are entering into the area of turbulence. Tie your belt. And then suddenly there's a little bit turbulence. Everybody melts down. They start looking at me, smiling. This is the thing. You cannot pretend. Cannot pretend. I also have this experience of once staying, I think in London. At that time, I was staying in that hotel. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was also there. I was on the 22nd floor. Around 2:30, there was a siren, smoke siren or something like that. So because of that siren, everybody came down on through the stairs. Luckily, the weather was not so cold, little bit chilly. So at the corridor of the hotel, we were so nice. Everybody was talking to each other. That was not the case when you just checked in. So the point that I'm making is, if the world faces a problem, difficulty like tsunami, earthquake, whatever, then only we remember we must live together. But that is a little bit late. Little bit late. A spark, as we say, a spark which is not extinguished at the right time will create a forest fire. There's happening all the conflicts that you see now today in the world, a result of those mismanagement. Right? So therefore, life is short. There are too many things to know. You don't need to know everything. I'm telling you. You don't need to know everything. You cannot know and don't need to know everything. For example, if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, right? Right? But is it necessary you drink the whole ocean? You can't drink, and also no need. So in life also, you should take those things which is really, really important. As we call as life's experiences or wisdom, whatever you call it. Take those things. Take those things primarily means this process of being kind, being helpful, right, and knowing how to live in harmony. Those are the most important things in your life. The rest are so. So that's all I want to say. Thank you. ask some questions. I'm not saying I have all the answers. Okay, you can ask the question and then we can think about it.
Geshe Lhakdor,
Yeah.
thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear all these solutions so we can deal with it. So I hope you have questions. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting.
Thank you very much, firstly. As you sort of mentioned, the world is in the best of ways at the moment, and I just wondered if you could offer us some hope that you see that we can take forward with us. Thank you.
What?
Offer some hope in this world state.
Book.
Hope. If
Hope.
you can offer us some hope that you see that are shoots of green and shoots of positivity in a world that is currently in a difficult place.
In the world, I have traveled over 30 countries in my life. Ordinary people everywhere, very nice people, very good people, majority. That is the hope. That's the hope. But the problem is, the majority of the people who are good, they are the silent majority. So your voice should be a little bit louder so that the leaders can hear that they can't do everything they want to do. They can't play with your life. They can't play with their power. Your voice should be a little bit louder. Otherwise, as I said, the majority of the people are so good. And especially this group, I'm supposed to be the speaker. But for me, whenever I speak such a group like this, I feel hesitant. It's like preaching the convert. You're all wonderful people, good people. That's why you're here. You want to do something. The bad people, the misused people will not come here. I know this for sure. Right? They have different agendas, different activities to do. Not this kind. So you are the hope. You are the hope. And therefore, your life's experiences, the wisdom that you have, must be inculcated in the mind of other people, especially the younger generation. The education system, in the education system, there must be a way of teaching loving kindness and compassion. Today, in the modern world, unfortunately, education means literacy, reading, writing, mathematics, and so forth. Education is not for human flourishing. Education must be for human flourishing, happiness, peace, how to smile, love, enjoy life. That's important. So you have a lot of experiences. Share that. So I was saying, you are the hope.
So any questions? Or?
Yeah.
Do you think centering one's life around observational drawing will help one to see and know things how they are or how you think they are?
Yeah, observation, yes.
But specifically drawing, making an illusion of what
Yes,
you're
yes,
looking at.
yes. Just to achieve concentration, you can use a flower. You can do painting, right? But that is just a small technique. In order to make human beings get the so-called long-lasting happiness, you just can't keep on painting. They'll create some kind of fleeting happiness at the most to some people, but that is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is through painting you can learn why harmony is important. Through musical instrument also. For example, the musical, if you play a guitar, those people who know how to play it produces a beautiful harmony, beautiful song. Give the same guitar in the hand of a monkey, he will also do like this, but it will not be able to produce the music. So therefore, through art, through painting, through musical instruments, you should give this message of the importance of living in harmony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Or?
So my question is, what do you think is the relationship between compassion and justice? Because especially with so much going on in the world right now, I think we see people who have done wrong things and we feel like we have to react in some way. And there's a place to be compassionate, but there's sometimes you also feel like there has to be some kind of justice. What is the relationship for you?
If you are not compassionate, it is impossible to be just. If you are compassionate, means that you treat everybody equal. As I mentioned earlier, the foundation for development of compassion is to see that all these people, irrespective of whether they are rich or poor, basically they are all same. This reminded me a beautiful poem written by the 7th Dalai Lama, who said, Thome chachim phomo sudala tejang chaluk namjur photok chachum samato dogi misi chewa nyam nyam to dogwe kenyam torche namje nonsen de jowa. You know Tibetan, right? So that's a beautiful thing he said. He said, whether I look at the so-called high people who are in the higher circle or the lower circle, or whether I look at the monks and the lay people, or whether I look at men and women, the only difference is costumes, their expressions. Some are haughty, some are less haughty, some are arrogant, some are less arrogant. But underneath, everybody is suffering. Alas, alas, he said, alas, is this universal fate of all human beings. The so-called rich have their problem. The so-called powerful people have their problem, more problem than poor ones in one sense. Right? So therefore, once you develop this kind of compassion, which sees everybody on the equal footing, then justice will come. Honesty will come. If that is not there, if there is no compassion, then you will work only for the rich people, powerful people, which is happening today like that, you see, not for poor people. Okay?
Any questions? Or?
Or Geshe I would like to ask him, the compassion is part of emotion, or compassion something like our fundamental quality. If it's part of the emotion, then emotions always comes go. How can we remain our compassion state of our mind? Thank you.
Compassion is an emotion. When we talk about emotion, there are positive emotions, there are negative emotions. So what is being taught in Buddhism is cultivate, nurture the positive emotions, then reduce, weaken, and do away with the negative emotions. You asked a very fundamental good question. We all said, I want happiness, I want long-lasting happiness. And those emotions which obstruct your happiness and long-lasting happiness is not outside, it is in you. It is your anger, it is your jealousy, it is your hatred, which is destroying all your good qualities. So therefore it is highly important to know the destructiveness of each of these negative emotions and the constructiveness and positive qualities of these positive emotions. For example, I'll just give you a small example. Anger. Is there anybody who says right in the morning, in other words, do we right in the morning make a motivation that I'll get angry? Is there anybody? Nobody, right? that means we have some idea that anger is not so good. But unfortunately, in the course of the day, when you work, you meet strange people, you get angry, and sometimes to the extent that you even exchange feast, and you pick up a good fight. Then in the end of the day, when you return home and reflect back that I was angry, I fought with somebody, is there anybody who says that I was angry, I fought with somebody, so I really enjoyed the day? Is there anybody? No. Right? Then similarly, if you're a man or women, we all want to be a presentable person. We make sure that the shirt and the pen matches color, and you decorate your faces, comb your hair, make sure your collar is upright or whatever. You don yourself to be a present person. And some people even put golden earrings, things like that. After all this ornamentation and donning, if you get angry, are you now handsome? Are you now beautiful? No. No. Look at the Buddha's face. He doesn't use cosmetics. He doesn't even have the hair. But because he has this inner calmness and happiness, that it carries a nice smile on his face, which makes you the most outstanding, beautiful person. If you want to become really beautiful women or men, smile. And that smile, I'm talking about genuine smile, not the politician's smile, not the sarcastic smile. Okay? And in one sutra by the Buddha, I read that if you develop compassion and your mind is peaceful, then the blood circulation is proper. There is proper blood circulation. So it supplies blood to all your body, including your faces. Then your cheeks also become red. You don't have to use external cosmetics. It's in the sutra by the Buddha. So now, just as opposite to this, ordinarily, inside we are not happy, and we want to be presentable person, then you put some heavy cosmetics, But inside, it's crying. So that's why you never become a handsome person or beautiful person. And those external things that you use, it's costly. You have to pay a lot of money. But if you build these internal qualities, you don't pay a thing. And you remain physically healthy, mentally healthy. Of course, the important thing is you need to do repeated practice, regular practice. Again, when we say practice, people say, oh, how many times I have to do the practice? Somebody asked me this question. In Buddhist teaching, there is a after you receive certain tantric initiation, then the Lama says, okay, you need to do this prayer and do this practice 6 times a day. 6 times a day. And people snarl there and they say, how can I do 6 times? Then some people ask me, is it really necessary that I have to do this 6 times? I was dumbfounded. I could not answer. Then later on, I gave some thought. Now these days, if people ask me such questions, then I say, how many times you eat for your body? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, Kit Kat in between, whatever, So for your body, you are feeding it with so many types of food, And for your mind, you hardly give anything. So therefore, the result is much of the problem and suffering that you see in the world today is a clear indication of starvation of human mind. Give food to the mind, which is spiritual practice. When I say spiritual practice, not necessarily just Buddhist practice. Not just Buddhist practice, any practice which is healing, which is empowering, right? And you can think, you have this amazing brain. What is good for you? What is good for others? Okay?
So, thank you, Geshe. My question's about karma. I study it, and I cause and result, but it's very hard for me when I hear about terrible things happening to children and babies. I get so distraught and upset. I hear of babies being raped, a child of 6 months old, young children, and I think about karma, and I know in a past lives, but in this life they seem so innocent, and I can't. It's hard for me to think about these babies going through such awful evil acts when in this life they've done nothing, and these children having to suffer so much. And I can't. The Dharma doesn't help. I just get so upset. And I was thinking about the timing of karma, why beings have to experience a rape when they're babies. Please.
Yeah, you're right. When I travel in places like New Delhi, and then I confront these small little girls and boys who are maybe 5, 6 years old and begging in the street, spreading their little hand in front of me, and my heart really pains. I feel so sorry. What did they do? What is their wrongdoing? So it's not easy. But at the same time, on a larger perspective, you need to accept the fact that when we talk about death, there is no seniority. There's no seniority. It can come like at any age. When the death comes, there is no place you can hide. You cannot say, I'm a judge, I'm a scientist, I'm a great spiritual practitioner, I'm still young. You cannot say all these things. Now why the death comes? Number one, death comes because you are born. And the problem with us is when somebody is born, we say, happy birthday, right? Nobody says suffering birthday. Only Buddha, he said birth is suffering. Buddha is not saying don't celebrate, but at a deeper level, birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, things like that. So we have to accept that fact. Then when we talk about karma may be not necessarily just in many past lives. In this life also, it may be because of allergic to certain food, allergic to the environment which unfortunately we have created. Okay, so many causes and conditions, things like that. So therefore, it's really important we pay special care about the health of the young small kids, small children. Now health means not only after they are born. The health of a child is very much dependent on the mother who gives the birth. So all this, so it has to be a holistic approach. Then at the end of the day, just this morning I was reading a small scientific piece, which says try as much as you can. The maximum limit a human being can live is 120 to 150 years, not more than that. Okay. Then there's also this story at the time of the Buddha. A mother lost her only child, and she was overpowered by grief. And she took the little child in her hand and went to the Buddha crying, just as you are doing, why this child is gone so quickly. Then the Buddha said, no, I can bring her back to life, provided if you're able to bring some sesame seed from a family where nobody has died. So she visits home after home, house after house. Everybody says, my father died, my mother died, my grandfather died, things like that. She could not find a single person where nobody has died. And on telling this to the Buddha, then that is what I want to teach you. This is the reality. You see, there's the reality. So there is no way you can hide. There's no way you can hide. You can't hide amidst deep ocean if you're a great swimmer, or hide yourself in a cave. There's this story of one gentleman who was just like any of us, chatting in the marketplace, and then somebody from behind knocked, and turning around he found the messenger of death was standing there. So he was very, very scared. And then the messenger of death, he said, no, don't worry. Don't be scared. I'm not here to take you today. I am here to take somebody. Your turn comes after 1 week. So this gentleman said, thank God. Now at least I have 1 week at my disposal. So he just left the market and went into the mountain and hid himself in a cave for 6 days. Nobody came. Then on the seventh day he said, okay, now who will come here in this desolate place? He just went out of the cave, craned his neck. Oh, thank God, nobody came. Then suddenly somebody tapped him from the behind. Then he looked and found the message of death standing there. He expressed his shock. How the hell you found me here? He said, don't get surprised. I'm equally surprised. because the Lord of the Dead told me to pick you exactly from this place. But last time I saw you in the marketplace, so I was a little bit confused. So there's no place where you can hide. But then the important thing is death, the so-called death is the death of the body. There is no death of the mind. Many people get depressed is because they have so much obsession, attachment to the body. My body will go away. So what? Body is anywhere the body is going. You don't have this beautiful body that you have when you were 5-6 years old. You're already a different person, right? So don't worry about that. The important thing is mind. There's no death to the mind. So when you do any spiritual practice, it has to have an influence on your mental consciousness. That imprint, that habit, that influence will go for many successive lives. That's important. Okay, thank you. Enough, Marve.